This is chapter 86 called The Flight. Sitting on the pavement, glinting in the sun, was a sleek white airship. For so long those white airships had filled the robot with dread. Now one was about to solve all of her problems. The door hummed open, and Dr. Malovo, Roz, and Brightbill climbed aboard. Once they were comfortable, the woman spoke to the airship. "Take us to the island where Rosum Unit 7134 was found." The engines fired up and the ship lifted off. It floated high in the air, turned to the north, and started cruising above the city. The three of them quietly watched the buildings and streets pass below. The city seemed to go on forever, but as they flew faster and farther, it slowly gave way to towns and countryside. They crossed the hard edge of the coastline, and then there were only ocean and sky and airship. The ocean was deep. However, scattered throughout the dark depths were shallow areas, sandbars, reefs, and islands just beneath the waves. In places, bizarre rock formations struck up from the shallows. Or were they maybe ruins of old buildings? The mysterious shapes faded behind the airship and were quickly replaced by dark depths. The ship flew on, and the hours flew by. Gradually, fluffy clouds came into view on the edge of the horizon. Beneath the clouds was a faint smudge of green. The island. It grew closer and bigger, and then Roz was gazing out at all the places she'd missed. The rocky shore, the mountain and the waterfall, the forests and the meadows and the ponds. Air blasted toward the ground as the ship lowered itself into the grassy clearing. It touched down. The engines powered off. Chapter 87, The Homecoming. The airship's door hummed open and our robot stopped outside. Everything was still and silent, but Roz knew hidden animals were watching, and she greeted them with a mighty roar. "Animals of the island, I have returned. I may look different, but I promise you I am your friend, Roz." Her words boomed across the island, but only response was her voice echoing back. The wild robot needed to be wilder, so she reached down and started smearing handfuls of mud across her body. Then she pressed clumps of weeds and flowers into her muddy coating until she looked more like her wild self. Brightbill fluttered out from the airship and perched on Roz's shoulder. He took his tail feathers and squawked, "It's true! The robot is my mother! Come see for yourself!" Silence, and then the bushes began to rustle. Faces began poking out from the trees. Animals began scurrying and trotting and flying into the meadow. At first, they moved cautiously, confused as to how this new robot could be their old friend. But they saw her wild appearance and they heard her wild voice, and news began spreading across the island. Roz was back. A crowd of friendly creatures gathered around the robot. There was Brightbill's flock and the beaver and deer families, Fink the fox, the super owl. Bears came lumbering down the hills, and fish jumped from ponds, and vultures circled above. Even the nocturnal creatures crawled out from their burrows into the daylight to join the celebration. Oh, how good it feels to return from a long journey and find your friends and family waiting for you. But, readers, sometimes when we return, things are not exactly the way we left them. As you know, the wilderness can be a harsh place, and while Roz was away, it claimed some of her friends. The robot saw the raccoons, Lumpkin and Bumpkin, but not Rumpkin. Nor did she see Broadfoot the moose or Dig Down the groundhog. Other creatures were missing as well, and so, like many of our homecomings, this one was bittersweet. Chit-Chat the squirrel came bounding through the grass, chattering on and on as usual. "I always knew you'd come back to us, Roz, but I never imagined you'd gain so much weight, although I guess I've gained a little weight myself. Although you're going to have to tell me all about your adventures when you get a chance, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm just so excited to see you." Geese and beavers and deer and fish and squirrels and owls and bears and turtles and otters and raccoons and woodpeckers, possums, moose, and foxes of every creature from every corner of the island were coming back to welcome their dear friends, Roz and Brightbill. And watching it all from the airship was Dr. Malovo.